What's up, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Cognition Ignition with C-Class. This week, I'm going to be throwing out a bunch of videos on INTPs and development, self-actualization tips, growth, and cognitive function stacks. Basically, I'm going to run through a bunch of my own thoughts, things I've been going through right now, just thinking through. So I wanted to share them with you guys. Pretty much, I have things coming up on INTP and NE, the late development of NE, and why INTPs may seem to mature late. I have developing NI and why meditation could be bad for INTPs coming up. But today's video is going to be early TI development, which is what INTPs are going to have in their function stack, and then tertiary SE or SI for INTPs. If you are an INTP and you don't want to miss these videos, don't forget to subscribe. If you like this video, hit the like button and leave a comment if you have any questions, because I'll always try to answer them to the best of my ability. So I have a little drawing behind me. I put this up because I wanted to show you guys what I mean by cycles, life cycles, and cycles of development. And if you didn't see my earlier video, which I put out earlier today, it was about FE development for INTPs. You should probably check that out, because it's just, my thought is that INTPs will fulfill FE and satisfy it through actively working on other function development and putting their thoughts out into the world. So you can check that out. So in the way I look at it, and it's based on research from Young and Dr. Dario Nardi and Beebe and Kiersey, and I've read every book that you can think of. I continue to reread them, go through my notes. So this is just things that I see as structures. I also use basic psychology, Piaget's theories of development, Erikson's theories of development, just the basic, anything like that. So I'm going to try to just interlink them all to how I see it and why some things are going to make sense. So for INTPs, we have early TI development, and what Dr. Dario Nardi presents is that we get layered. So basically, we could look at it as like our main function is thinking. Then it can get split into introverted thinking or extroverted thinking through the use of it. Then it becomes, the function splits basically. So for INTPs, we use introverted thinking first, and we're known to have extraverted intuiting as our auxiliary. Dr. Dario Nardi says at the same time that that's developing in a life cycle, early in a life cycle, that you would also be developing other ways of perceiving. So he said introverted sensing, which we know, and introverted intuiting, because it's our sixth function. And he said for some people it may be the fifth function. It really depends on the environment and things like that, but generally you're going to skip over your FE. Now, one thing I want to present is the NE really quick, is that it's abstract thinking, and according to developmental theories from Piaget, we don't really have a strong ability to think abstractly until like the age of 12. So that may be a reason that INTPs seem to develop a little bit later, and most sources seem to agree that INTPs develop a little bit later. And it may also explain why at a young age INTPs have spend a lot of time introverting. And I think that when you think of it like that, and the NE basically can't really be developed, it can show, then what you can look at is that you are developing just intuition generally, and you only get a sense of it. It's just there. It's not there for you to actually utilize. So I think at a young age, you're going to see like INTPs a lot of times loop between their first and their third function of TI and SI. So what you experience, and even later in life, this is how they'll function too. But what you experience is going to eventually feed your NE, so you can make connections with those outer experiences. You internalize the experiences, it feeds the NE, and that's how the NE works. But you don't really have full ability of it until you're about 12. So then what I'm thinking is, why are INTPs usually smart, especially like at a young age? Usually they just get things. And for myself, I mean, I was like spelling bee champ and things like that. I was in a gifted and talented leadership program until I got suspended at a later age. But yeah, I did all that at a young age, and I'm starting to think like, okay, you lead with introverted thinking. You're supposed to be developing NE, which you can't utilize till a later age. So you're going to SI. So basically, you're just learning everything that you're told to learn at a young age. And I was a teacher's pet, and I hear that from a lot of INTPs, just because the teachers liked us because we could think. When we were told to read, we could read, and we can make the connections. We could do the homework, and we're usually pretty passive as young kids. We're just whatever's handed to us, it's there. And I think we're open to the experience because SI just feeds it to us, whatever experience it is. And then when we get older, that's when we might start to rebel and start to look away from authority, basically, because all those SI experiences are all of a sudden getting funneled right into NE, and you're looking at all those past experiences, you're thinking about them, and then like you're making connections. I could say right around my teen years was when I really started disliking authority, and I was outspoken about it. And I think a lot of people who I identify as INTPs agree with the authority thing. We do like to learn, and I can say like if I had a great teacher, even in young years, I remember like fourth and fifth grade teachers. If we had a great teacher, they meant a lot to us because they fed our TI in a way that allowed us to appreciate SI. And all through this, FE isn't even in our conscience really. We're not really thinking that we can hurt people's feelings. We're not realizing like if feelings come up for us, we block them out so that we can experience our thoughts. We enjoy that genuinely as INTPs. Um, so that's just my little theory of why there's the late development, because the abstract thinking, though it's there and we can kind of, it's in the background almost. It's like trying to show itself like, hey, this is here, but we're not able to abstractly connect those fully until a later age. And maybe 12 isn't the exact, the framework for that says like there is like some leeway in development. But yeah, and when you look at it like that, it makes a lot of sense. And then we can think about like how much does SI really affect later on. And I think that's when you can start seeing like depending on what your SI was at an early age. Like did you go to a Catholic school or did you go to a public school? I think that's huge. I went to Catholic school, then I switched to public school, and before I went to Catholic school, I went to public school too. So like I didn't really realize that people didn't even believe there was a God. So that was like kind of big. And then my TI growing up, like when I finally went to public school, and I realized that, kind of was like shocked almost. And then NE started making connections. And that's always played a big role in my life. I didn't realize it actually until I went to school for psychology. And when I was talking about it, my teacher goes, "Oh, wow, that must have had a huge effect on you." And I'm like, "Wait, what do you mean?" And she kind of told me some psychology about it. And I guess there is like a thing about like being raised, like changing what type of schooling you go to is going to affect you a lot. And I think when you see INTPs with like making their connections, it's always going to be based on the past. And that's just at an early age. Then like, through like college and stuff, you'll start seeing like INTPs start criticizing the way people think, and that's kind of fed through SI. They don't want people to think dangerously or in a way that's going to um, like ruin thinking in a way. I don't know the word for it. I'm trying to think of the word. It's going to damage just thoughts in general, which is kind of where we are at right now in a society. Thoughts are kind of damaged because there's so much information, and I think INTPs are like hesitant to put out that bad information, so they want to think through things clearly, and they want other people to think through things clearly, and not just label things. I think that's where like the SI plays a role in later in life, and that's why SI like prevents us, and you have to transcend it, and that's what we're going to go into in another video, because SI prevents us from putting things out there in a way of protecting ourselves. And then eventually that's where you see like the need to do things, to extrovert things, and keep harmony later on in life, which we will get into. We're going to get into all that in these upcoming videos. Like I said, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there for right now. Let me know what you think about this little theory I have. Next video is going to be pretty much about NI and how you develop that. If you like it, subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, and let me know what you think. And I'll catch you on the next episode of Cognition Ignition. Thanks for watching.